I'm so excited. Today we're doing something a little bit different, and I have to get this one out because it's a little bit timely. So we'll see how this ends up. I'm recording this. Full disclosure: it's June 13th, and it's a Saturday. I do record on Saturdays sometimes, and the I made a video just kind of last minute yesterday. I don't. I'm usually pretty planned. I don't necessarily just randomly shoot a video and post it. But yesterday I was just feeling so inspired because I had watched the Knicks finals game 4 that would have been tonight. It's yet to happen as of this recording. Is game 5. If you follow basketball, great. If not, it doesn't matter because the lessons are going to apply. But I haven't watched basketball in a long time. I was completely obsessed with it in my younger years. I played at a really high level in New York. It was my whole life. And then when that path stopped, I switched my passion to martial arts, and I kind of never looked back. I just like lost my passion for it, stopped watching. But now, the New York, I'm from New York. Most of you know that the New York Knicks are in the finals, first time in over a quarter of a century, and they have not won a ring in over 50 years. So it's pretty wild. It's a pretty wild story. Even if you're not into it, it is really interesting. But I was watching game 4, and if you saw it, you know it. It's going to go down as one of the best games, craziest turnarounds in sports history. The Knicks were down by 29 points, going with less than half of the game left, and no team has ever come back from that deficit in the finals. So they went on to win the game. Really cool if you watch. I mean, you have all the celebrities. You have Jerry Seinfeld and Jimmy Fallon, all these guys hugging each other. Just a really, really cool sports moment. Really exciting. And I couldn't help but think as I was watching it of the sort of the mirrors with our finances and our business and even our lives, especially when it comes to problems, handling adversity. In that case, I'm going to sort of move on to my lessons here, but in that case, they were down a tremendous amount, and I would assume these guys know the deal. Like the coach, there's a good chance he knew that this has never been done before. Yes, they get paid millions of dollars, is what they do, but they're human. And you would just think that it would be so difficult to not give up. I mean, it looked like it was over. People had paid a lot of money to be in that at Madison Square Garden where the game was, and a lot of them left. They left because there was no chance. There was no hope. I was watching a couple of analysts talking about it the next day, and one of them, I mean, he's like a world class analyst. He watches all the games. He said he went to bed. He went to bed. He knew that it was over. It was no chance. So it's like this kind of thing. We know there's always a chance at some level, but those beliefs are strong and they affect our behavior. So he went to bed. The other people left, but the Knicks themselves. I mean, there was obviously some key players there, but they didn't stop. And that's what I noticed, and it turned around for them. And that doesn't always happen, of course, but if they would have, let's say, mailed it in and started taking it easy or pulled out their best players, whatever the case is, then there's no chance they would have won. But because they didn't give up, a lot of that is mindset. Because what is it going to take for you to keep going, for you to take responsibility for the actions that you're taking? Obviously speaking to myself here as well. So I just couldn't help but think of the lesson there that I wanted to share and how we can apply that in our lives. So I know one's a little bit different. I'm not that different. I'm doing more of this stuff because there's the tactics and there's the budgeting and the forecasting and knowing your numbers, and we're gonna talk about some of that stuff. But at the end of the day, it comes down to what's underneath. There's this idea that your character is going to determine your outcome. And this is proven with the idea that 70% of a financial windfalls, and none of us like to admit this, we would think that we'd be different. I would think I'd be different, right? And maybe I would be because I have been doing this for a while, but if somebody handed me a huge sum of money, whatever that is for you, 100,000, a million, 7 million, whatever that is, we would think that we would handle it really well. But the truth is 70% of financial windfalls, meaning a lot of money that comes in at once, is handled poorly and is completely gone in a relatively short period. I'm talking massive sums of money. We know the stats. The average NFL player is completely broke a few years after leaving the league, after they made millions of dollars. We saw it with Mike Tyson. Getting, I don't know what it was, 20 million a fight or something back in the what would that be, like the 90s, and gone. And Kim Basinger is another famous one. These celebrities and athletes and lotto winners, it's crazy. If you look up some of those stories, what happens, they're really common, way more common than not. And it's because the character hasn't been developed to be able to handle that. And that's what it takes. So it's like we all think we want the thing fast, but then if we were to get it fast, it wouldn't really work, because the character that's developed in building it is the same character that's needed to maintain and grow it. So if you never built a business and I just handed you a really successful business, that's why it's really important who the CEO is, right? They have to have the right experience, the right character. So just an encouragement there to embrace that side. But we're talking about these are lessons that I sort of gleaned from watching that game, and these are things that apply directly to our financial success, our business success, and that is my area. But the truth is, it's true in relationships, it's true in health, it's true in our mental well-being. But let's talk about these three ideas that you can put into place, because it's not if the problems are coming, it's when the problems are coming. I do this all day. I talk to multiple gym owners every single day. I'd have to say that I talk to more gym owners specifically about their finances than anybody else that I know, at least. And I'm talking about these one-on-one, not big masterminds where people are getting lost. These are deep conversations. So I see there's nobody without these types of problems. It could be an employee going sideways. It could be just an external circumstance. It could be a financial surprise. There's so many things. Taxes. There's so many areas, but we all deal with these things. And the first one, just to get right to it, is to find. So again, this is how to develop the resilience, how to develop the right, basically action orientation when dealing with difficult things. The first is to just find the evidence through what we'll call small wins. Find evidence through small wins. We know this with our clients, right? It's like, hey, just show up. We had a sign on the door that said, just show, you did the hard part, we'll take care of the rest. Meaning they did the hard part by showing up, right? They just did a small win. They just showed up. And there's lots of these things in fitness. It's just, I heard once a guy saying, if you just wake up and put your sneakers on, that's the only goal. And he knows that small win will lead to just take a step outside, and then take a walk around the block, and then take a run around the block. And then before you know it, you're running marathons and ultra marathons, because it all starts with just getting a little bit out of that comfort zone. So how does that look in business? Well, if it comes down to the revenue side, it's just getting slightly out of that comfort zone. Just ask. You could choose the key is to make it slightly uncomfortable for you. So if you're totally comfortable doing this, then you got to do something different. But for a lot of people, it's just shoot somebody a message and just say, hey, I realized that you never came in to my facility. I'm doing this thing. Would you be interested? It might be uncomfortable to ask, but do it anyway, because that's the proof that you're going to find that taking those small actions actually pays off. Because when you do that enough, you'll obviously see that it's just a numbers game, right? You invite 10 people in, and one of them is gonna come in, right? So at that point, it's just getting the numbers right, and of course making improvements. When it comes to money, maybe you're not comfortable. It could be either way, right? Maybe you're not comfortable saving. So you say, you know what, this week I'm going to save $50. It's something I haven't been doing. It's a little out of my comfort zone. I'm a little scared. You'll see that, yeah, when you do that, it works because you figure out how to plan around it. Or it's the opposite. Believe it or not, there's some people that struggle with spending enough because life is not all about accumulating the biggest pile of money. And that's something that I've struggled with because I went a long time with being real careful and getting out of debt, and then it's like, okay, now it's a good thing to spend money because it's part of the purpose of it. So how do we get out of our comfort zone? That's probably not most people, so be careful with that one, but it could be. And just keep in mind when things get tough, when it doesn't look like you're going to have enough for payroll, when it doesn't look like you're going to have enough for rent or the bills went up, you can still decide that you're going to, this brings us to the second point, you're going to focus on what you can control. There's a lot of things that we can't control. We can't control the way our members react. To a certain extent, we can't control that, right? It's their choice. We can't control the inflation. We can't control the economy. We can't control who's elected and who isn't elected. Like all these things, we may have some influence in some of these areas, but ultimately we have to decide that we are going to focus on what we can control. There are two types of people. Maybe there's some in-betweens, but I see this a lot, and I'm sure you do as well with your clients. There's not a difference in the amount or even the severity of the problems. In fact, it could somewhat be argued that successful people have bigger problems than others. That's not the difference. We all go through stuff. It's different for everybody. We all have problems. We all have problems in our childhood. We all have problems now. But there's one type of person that really is externally focused, and those are the ones that are always talking about the outside circumstances. The gas prices are so high. Clients don't want to pay the money. They don't value what we do. I mean, you could just insert so many different things. And then the other type of person, those things, they're just a different way to look at it. They're not necessarily true or untrue. There may be some truth, but the point is it helpful? Is it useful? Or would it be more useful to focus on the things that you can control? It's so interesting that I use this example a lot because it's a good one for our industry, that the summer months can be pretty tight from a cash flow standpoint. And at the same time, we all know that's happening, but then very few owners actually prepare for that. Like, so if you know that your revenue is going to be down, or you believe it will be, then why not save a little bit extra throughout the other months? And then of course it's, well, I couldn't because I had all these other things. But at the end of the day, we have to decide that we are going to control what we can. I have enough clients that do that kind of thing, that it is possible, and lots of things like that. It's, even if things are tight, can you still track your numbers? Can you still know your numbers? It's interesting that most of the people that are externally focused also don't know their numbers. They're not doing a budget. They're not doing a forecast. They're not doing allocations. So it's like these things go hand in hand. It'd be like the person that's blaming their genetics is oftentimes also the person that isn't being intentional with what they're eating. They're not meal planning. They're not planning their workouts. They're not doing their workouts. If anything, they're saying, we've had so many people come into the gym like, I've done everything and I look like this, and it's like, probably not, because that's not really how things work, right? If you were doing everything, then you probably would have gotten a different result. And I think if we're all honest, we would know that. Thinking financially, if we're not where we want to be financially, it's there are some reasons that have to do with the decisions we've made. We've made some poor choices. We've not saved for a rainy day. We've not planned for the future. We've not had the discipline. And that's okay because we're human. But I think taking that responsibility is huge. There are two things that we can control as humans. One of them is, I can say, attitude. I guess you could think about that in whatever way helps you the most, but just like your perspective, your attitude. Some people might call it a mindset. I like this term belief. So we can actually choose our belief. For example, the belief of, I lose 3 clients today. I could believe that nothing is good enough, nothing's going to work, I'll never get ahead. And you have reason to believe that. You just lost 3 clients. Or you could choose the opposite belief. You could just choose to believe that I can turn this around, or I can learn from this, or I can get better, or maybe even maybe those clients weren't the best fit, and now it's an opportunity for 3 better fitting clients. Or I'm not saying deny the reality. Yeah, that really stinks. I'm not going to have enough to meet my budget, but I'm not going to let that stop me from taking the action. We know that's true, right? But it's just choosing that mindset or that belief, and then what we do with that, obviously the actions. But that generally stems from the belief. If I really believe that, if I really believe that I am destined to help gym owners win financially, then it's not going to change if somebody decides that they don't want to work with me or that they don't like my content. Like, I'm still going to take the actions that are aligned with those beliefs. I believe this needs to be heard. I believe this needs to get out there. So like I made the video post I shared. It was kind of like an abbreviated version of this. And I posted like a 10-minute video on Facebook. Like, I don't think people watch 10-minute videos. And maybe the old me would have been like, oh, like, what a waste of time. I don't think anyone's watching that. It's, I don't know. They're going to think that I'm not influential. I don't know. But now, after maturing a lot, it's like, it doesn't matter to me. Like, I posted that because it was on my mind. It was on my heart. If one person listens to it, then great. And if it gives them a perspective, especially with something so important as dealing with business, financial, or other adversity, that's fine. Last one is systems. So again, this is the third way to handle adversity, to make sure that we're being responsible for the actions we're taking for the results we want. The first one was finding evidence through those small wins, slightly getting out of the comfort zone. The second one is focusing on what you can control. So you have that attitude and the actions to go along with it. And thirdly, life can certainly be tough. And as James Clear said, we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. So having systems in place so that when things are tough, all of these things apply, whether there's like major adversity or not, right? It's always good to get evidence through small wins. Even if things are going great, it shows you that the things are working. Even when things are going okay, you still want to focus on what you can control. I mean, so many examples of this. Like, maybe you don't have as much time as you wanted. It's like because of something outside of your control. At that point, the only thing you could focus on is how am I going to make the best use of this lesser time that I have, right? Rather than get all bent out of shape and not get anything done. So what are some systems when it comes to business and financial? I would say budgeting and forecasting. That's something that you can implement as what I call a financial rhythm. Knowing your numbers. We talked about the critical 4, which were your sales, your profit, your cash, and your net owner benefit. And like, if you're not creating a system out of knowing your numbers, then that's something you can do. You can set that up as a system. Lots of ways to do that. It's kind of a little bit beyond the scope of this show, but It could be working with somebody. Maybe you're not at that point where you can do that, or you feel you can. So maybe you do it yourself, or maybe you use some AI automation, or maybe you just have a system where it's in your schedule every week, some kind of system to know your numbers, the critical four, and then possibly your sales P&L numbers, your lead, set, show, close rate. You need to have a system for knowing those numbers. Where are you pulling the data? Or maybe it's automatically generated. And then a huge one on the financial side is automation. I'm talking about financial automation, the rhythm of financial automation. If you are leaving it up to your own willpower, or your own decisions, or the timing for you to like go and save money, or for you to go and pay down debt, or for you to go save some money, or for you to invest, even for giving, I have giving on automation to a certain extent. So we have a percentage that comes out and goes right to, in our case, it's for tithing for our local church. And then we have an additional amount that is also systematized for an automated. When I say automated, I mean, I guess a better way to say that is there's a system in place. So not necessarily the best example of automation. It doesn't like automatically get donated or something like that. But when we look at investments, set it and forget it. One of the best pieces of advice I could give you is to set it up, automate it. It pulls right from your account, goes right to an investment, and it just never stops. Because as soon as you start messing with it manually, you lose out on some of the biggest gains in the process. There you have it. 3 ways that we learned from the Knicks. I would say they did all of those things right. They had some small wins. Maybe there was a free throw or good defensive play, and they started seeing some evidence. And before you know it, things turned around. The Spurs got cold. They got hot. And then they're off to the races. Focus on what they could control. They couldn't control at that point that they were already down that many points. They actually had some, if you watch the game, they had some other things against them. There was some really, I don't know if I want to say bad refereeing, but the star of the Knicks, Brunson, was getting abused by a man like twice his size on the Spurs, and they weren't calling it. And he's a good example of this whole thing because he focused on what he could control. He did talk to the ref. He said, "Look, he just mushed me and all this stuff," but he didn't retaliate. He didn't like throw the game away. And then for systems to set things up on a system or on an automation, so that, and I'm sure they did that to a certain extent too, right? They got some plays that are systematized. They knew exactly what they were doing. I mean, there was so much of that. So at the end of the day, just keep in mind, the biggest thing I want you to know is that you have and can develop the power to meet any challenges, financial, business, or otherwise. Not that things are just going to magically go away, but that you are going to be more effective in those scenarios. I just want to be clear on that. I'm definitely not somebody who denies very real problems for people, but I can also say that there are ways to deal with things most of the time that will be more effective by applying these 3 concepts. So let me know what you think of this. If you have any questions around this, if you need any support, reach out to me. I'm here for you. I know this one was slightly different, but again, just to sort of practice what I'm preaching, this is something that I felt I wanted to share. So I hope it resonates. And if not, feel free to let me know. But reach out on social media or email. I got a new email. It's billy@fitprofitsolutions.com, or just reach out, like I said, on social, on the website, yourfitnessmoneycoach.com. Got a lot of great things coming up. Got some events I'll be speaking at and some programs we'll be developing. So thanks so much for being on the journey. Until next time, you're listening to the Your Fitness Money Coach podcast.